Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rodeo Time, the podcast. We've got in the house Garrison. What's your David?
What?
What's your middle name?
Logan.
That's right. Yeah, Garrison, Logan, Gable, and Jeremy Ray Melanson. I'm into middle names right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kid's getting older, and you have to yell at him.
Yeah, there it is.
Duncan Hayes.
Yeah. So we're talking about a lot of things today: life, team roping, how to get started roping, how to get started ranching, how to get why where the origin of the intern program is what we talked about. Garrison was not an intern of mine, but he helped inspire the intern program. Talk about how some Dale Brisby stories, some rodeo stories. But we're at the grounds of Huntsville. It's a property north of Huntsville, Texas. So if you're interested in Sam Houston or you just need a place to live, there's 42 units out here. They've also got, how many horse stalls are there?
78.
78.
Yep.
Dang.
Full-blown arena, calf lane. And it's a good community if you're part of that, want to live around your horse. It's tough, right? Like you go to school and this horse isn't just a horse you have in the pasture. It's part of what you're here for. That's 80 plus unit or 80 plus member rodeo team at Sam. That's top level. I'd challenge anybody to find a better rodeo program. You come here to do what you do. Where do you live?
Right.
It's super handy. It's nice.
Yeah. So I got some team roping lessons this morning from Garrison. We filmed that, had a good time. How many do you think I caught? How many do you think we ran? I bet it was a pretty 50-50 like catch to miss ratio.
We ran 10, maybe 11.
Did we run that many?
Yeah. And I think you only didn't throw one around the horns.
Yeah.
You popped it off one.
Yeah.
No, two.
Sounds like Garrison's an amazing teacher.
Yes.
He's roped enough to catch the horns. But you learned that there is anybody that wants to armchair quarterback it, there's a lot more little stuff going on than just catching those horns.
Oh boy.
And don't even get me started on how hard it is to heel. Dang.
Yeah, there's a good spot for you to tell people I don't heel all the time.
Well, yeah, no, you don't. You're a header, and you were teaching me to head from the heel side.
I'm going to catch some flack.
And Daddy didn't handle the steers very well. But
the good thing was I've heard all the excuses of why a healer missed, and I used them all.
Yeah, we ran through them.
You slowed him down, you sped him up, you whipped him. Yeah, I used them. If I missed, I used them.
And then the very first one I caught, as you go to throw, like I catch him at the end of the arena, so he's like against the fence. Like the one good shot you had, he's 1 foot away from the back fence. But so anyhow, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check out the grounds of Huntsville. Check us out on social media. And now on to the podcast. Hey, we've done it.
That was awesome. Let's listen to it.
We have not recorded, which it was really just the Zoom recorder we had at the time, but didn't get recorded. William Clark Green.
Oh.
That was a pretty big one. Had to
how
use
long?
it's an hour and a half.
Missed it all. Didn't catch it.
But these cameras have the microphones on top. It just sounds crappy. So it was just more inconvenient. Same thing with... we did Chase Outlaw and Derek Kababa, the PBR guys.
Yeah.
Same thing. But we're kind of professional now.
Got to make the checklist things.
We don't let these raggedy clothes fool you.
No. This is a well-oiled machine.
That's Garrison's who I got that from.
Don't let these raggedy clothes fool you.
Yeah.
His clothes aren't that raggedy anymings you kind of moving on up there, George.
Anymore. He remembers. You remember.
Things are better.
Things are better for you too.
Yeah, naturally should.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I should do something else.
Yeah. Garrison is. We were talking about it earlier. Garrison is kind of the inspiration for the intern program.
Really?
Yeah, whenever I met him, I was at a bull riding. Is it Lexington? That little town over there?
Yeah, Lexington.
East of Snook. I was going to school at Blinn. I was at a bull riding in Lexington. And
It's actually west. But
west. Yeah, whatever. Kermit Moss walked up to me in the parking lot long time ago. This is a long time ago. And he was like, hey, I got some bulls. Kermit is an NFR team roper. When did he win the NFR?
95.
95. Mm-hmm. And I was going to school at Blinn in Bryan, not A&M at the time. But anyhow, he was like, can you come out and help me with my bulls? I was like, yeah. So came out there and met Garrison. He was there to team rope. And I was in charge of the bulls. Garrison in charge of the team roping. Did that little summer series out there.
Yep, little practices. Thursday, Tuesday. What night did y'all get on bull? Thursday?
Man, at first it was Thursdays. Yeah. And we would go, there'd be.
That was fun.
That was fun, dude. Then Thursday nights, there'd be a bunch of people out there. Usually just me and one or two other people getting on. And then we would go to the watering hole in Snook, Texas. 2 pool tables, black dog asleep in the corner. You ride your horse, ride your motorcycle in the bar. There's like skid marks where people come in there and peel out. And then we go to Harry's.
It was exactly the picture of what you would think a beer joint would look like.
In Snook, Texas.
Yeah. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
Whatever image you have, probably
that's
right.
it.
You're there.
But Garrison at the time, whatever, that was our routine. Garrison at the time was working for Kermit, and you would go to the sale barn, and day work a little here and there to make money, but really work for Kermit. And then every afternoon, almost every day, y'all would team rope. And you would get lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rope. Got to work on it a bunch. Learned a lot. Which was valuable for me because I didn't have the money to build an arena or buy steers and all that stuff. So, it worked out. I don't know if it worked out good for him. It worked out good for me. I got a place to rope, practice, hang around some guys that really roped good, and learned as much as I could. Maybe I should have stayed another year, but
how many years did you stay?
I think it was 3.
Yeah, it was a while.
It was 3. Maybe a little more than 3, something like that.
I think it was good for him, because here he is. He's got this barn. I think he would argue it was good for him. It was a mutual agreement. Because you didn't get paid much, but you were also getting instruction from an NFR.
Yeah, it was a good trade.
Team roper.
More than anything, I just call it a good trade.
Right. Exactly. Which
neither one of us was out any real money.
Yeah.
He had something I needed. I had something he needed, and
exactly
we got together and it worked.
And that is the foundation of my intern program. It's like guys that want to learn how to ranch, want to learn how to rodeo, because like you said, one of the biggest hurdles to jump in that scenario is having the facilities, having the stock. Yep.
That's a big expenditure.
Absolutely.
Plus, you might have a place to do it at, like the actual property.
Right.
And I don't know how many 18-year-olds own
real estate,
40 acres. I didn't. Maybe people do it better than me, but I did not.
But that's a way for you to learn a craft with nothing.
Yep.
You find the right person, you got the right attitude, and you exchange hard work for knowledge. So, do you have people ever come to you for that, Jeremy?
Man, money's still a trade. It just adds friction to the trade where both sides lose. Like the money takes something of it, But yeah, no, I've got I'm not going to say he's my first intern, but we're giving it a try. We have not perfected the intern thing yet. I struggle with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing about it is finding something to where they feel like they're getting value and staying busy, because I'll get kind of caught in these things where I'm doing something and then, we're just practicing at it. We're just getting better at it.
I kind of use the example like at my house riding 2-year-olds, and people are like, you should hire somebody to help you. I'm like, get you an intern that wants to learn. And I'm like, anybody that's good enough to really help me is probably good enough to just go make their own way. I bet it's similar to you. Anybody that's good enough to really be helpful to you can get a good job. somewhere else.
Check out DaleBrisby.com for the new Rodeo Time apparel, old son. We got a lot of new shirts and caps on DaleBrisby.com. It's hoodie season. Well, I think the problem is, so if you're a little bit older and you can look back at somebody like Jeremy, somebody like Garrison. So Jeremy builds houses and you do a lot of things. You help people with investments, but right now, Turnkey is your construction company where you guys will build custom homes and not cookie cutter homes. And then you built the grounds out here where we are, 42 units. It's a horse place, keep your horse, etc. Both you guys have been like soundboards for me for ideas. You're both been like, I've known you both 10 plus years. I personally know just the crazy amount of knowledge that a young person could get by shadowing you guys, like anything horse related, anything home builder related, and then just wisdom and how to be, a man, how to make decisions, how to make logical decisions. It's funny that you two are on this podcast with me. Like both you two are like very logical, the way you look at just any situation and then figure out a solution, And, but the point is like, I could see an 18, 19-year-old that comes along, like if he wanted to team rope or train horses, like you need to go shadow Garrison for a year and work for him for free. If he wanted to start a construction company and build anything, you need to go shadow. But is that 19-year-old, because they're 19, they're not going to be able to have the wisdom to see, maybe they're not, maybe they are, hopefully, but very few of them are going to have the wisdom to see that like, that's taken a step backwards so that you could then get that wisdom and knowledge to take 3-4 steps forward later on. But because people like, well, I need to make money right now. Well, not necessarily. If you can survive and learn a craft and learn all this wisdom, because I know, this is what I'm trying to say. I think that if somebody jumps out there and just does something right now, they're going to make a lot of their own mistakes, I think. Whereas, for instance, Carson right now wants to ride broncs. He could get him a saddle. He could go to 1 or 2 schools. He could enter rodeos and go. And he could just go make his own mistakes. But along the way, it might take the wind out of his sails. Or go somewhere and learn from someone else's mistakes that they've made.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, yes, technically, if he's working for me for free, he is taking a step backwards. But if it helps him, like, no, we need to loosen your binds. Let those binds out. Don't go to that rodeo. Go to this rodeo. Get on these practice horses. Think about this in the shoot. This is your shoot procedure. Don't get that saddle. Get this saddle. Yeah. 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month of that is going to be worth its weight in gold. Same thing with you guys. Like
I've always said,
and you knew that with Kermit.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get at. And my advice to anybody doing anything is whatever it is you think you want to try to do, go find the best at it that you personally can. Whoever that is, whatever your ceiling is, go for that. If Trevor's, him, go there to learn the rope. Or do, same thing. If, like if somebody's interested in doing what you're doing, you seem like a good spot to start. Like you're talking about, go to somebody that knows more than you.
Yep.
You don't want to be the smartest guy in the room all the time.
Yep.
Bring the apprentice model back.
You can't. I'm a big believer in that. Like I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, which very seldom I am. But you can learn when somebody's smarter than you. You can learn if you got your eyes open and your ears open.
Yeah. My partner in the custom home business is Tony Denman, and when I was in college, me and Carly bought a house. We were going to remodel it using YouTube, and we quickly realized that all me and Carly and Sterling knew how to do was tear out walls. We didn't know how to put them back, and YouTube wasn't quite as robust. So like whatever he wanted to do, whatever he was doing, I was there to do it, and he paid me some while I was doing it, and we worked through it. But, learning from him was the real value in it. The paycheck wasn't, it wasn't really there.
Because that knowledge,
that's what it wasn't for.
Money, you get paid it and you go spend it and it's gone. Yeah. But like you said, whatever he taught you, that's yours till the end of time.
Exactly.
And I think that's an important thing for people to remember. You can keep that. forever.
Where I've screwed up with the intern model, like what my disservice that I've done to them is the first one I felt uncomfortable not paying them, so I paid them. Okay, well that was completely the wrong thing to do in my opinion, not because of anything that they did, but then I feel like the stress of making sure, the company's paying them, I got to make sure they, produce something to offset that.
That's an asset.
And then it's all short-term thinking. It's not long-term for them. It's not long-term thinking for me. So if we move the money out of that transaction, then if I've got something that helps them and they can listen and all, I don't have to worry about if I can afford to pay someone that hears what I talk about in a meeting. Well, then I don't have to worry about actually training them of what I talked about in the meeting. They're going to just absorb it while they're in the meeting, and I can afford for them to be in there because they're investing their time instead of me having to invest my money for them to be there. So that's what we're trying to do a little differently this time is, where I thought I was, I need to pay them. I feel bad about not paying them. Now I feel bad because I paid them.
Yeah. So my intern program is usually 2 weeks. Somebody will work for free. And really at this point, it's so there's occasions where we'll bring someone in where we really don't need the help. And in that scenario, if they are adamant about wanting to be part of the team, to learn how to rodeo, to learn how to ranch, they may have to work upwards of a month. So Blythe, Kevin, Donnie, they each came shortly after we had just brought on another intern. And so we didn't need the help. And I was clear about that. I was like, I don't need the help right now, but you want to come learn this craft, that's fine. So those three each had to wait a month before they got paid. Yeah. But they're riding bulls, they're riding broncs, they're starting to rodeo. So there's an exchange there, but they're having to work in exchange for that knowledge. So what I tell them is, after you do start getting paid, Donnie's been here 3 years. Yeah. Actually, as a joke, cool. I went back and paid him for 2 of those 4 weeks. Because he made a joke. He made a joke once. He was like, I think I've worked the longest out of anybody for free. And I the next day I showed up, had cash, and I was like, boom, can't say that no more. Yeah. It was just a funny deal, But the point is I told him, I said, I'm going to continue to call you an intern in the videos. And that is to market and brand to the world, hey, we take interns.
Yeah.
And when you hear the word intern, it says a lot because it says, number one, you're going to learn, but number two, you're not going to get paid. Mm-hmm. And so there are some paid internships, but now when people apply, we've got people, and it's good for both sides. When they apply to be an intern, it means they really want to be there, which is a big deal. Sure. I want somebody who really wants to be here. Because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you could drive out here, you better want to be here. So that number one. Then number two, they're not expecting to get paid. Well, after 2 weeks, I'm going to pay you.
Yeah.
So now, but it's an exciting surprise. And I don't pay them, I pay them more than minimum wage.
Yeah.
So they're going to make money. And so after those 2 weeks, it's a pretty cool job. You're getting paid like a normal. And we 21, 22 years old. Most of them don't have families.
Yeah, we talked about this morning.
They can be broke.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot when you don't have a lot of bills.
This is the time you can invest in
exactly.
Even if you wanted to invest in it, once you have a family and everything else, you don't have the same freedom.
Change big time. You have real responsibilities.
Yeah, but in this industry, this is a big deal. Being it, you talked about it, Trevor. There's a young guy, Preston, worked for Trevor for a lot of years. How valuable is that if Preston goes on, that joker could be at the NFR in a couple of years.
Horse trainer.
Who do you think that's?
Smart business guy.
Yeah,
you could learn.
Even if he doesn't go,
whether he ever,
even if he didn't even go the horse route. Surely the relentless, all that stuff being.
Just the mindset.
I've never met Trevor really other than just, hey, here and there.
Brilliant.
You don't
mind.
know who I am, but.
Brilliant mind. Laid back and very witty.
Can't be dumb.
You don't get to that level without that mindset. No, so even if that's all you got from it,
it'd be invaluable. Yeah. And Donnie, he's such to me such a success story on the deal because he's one of the guys now too.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on it, doing what you do. You're a young kid, make a little bit, whatever, but how cool is stuff y'all get to go do.
Yeah.
Y'all get to go to some cool places, meet some cool people. Nothing else. When you're an old man, you're like,
100%.
I didn't make much money. That was a fun 2 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like,
And what perspective did you gain during
that?
that?
Man, I met people from here to there, and this, I sat around and talked with, J.B. Mooney, Trevor Brazil.
yeah, Donnie's got to meet them all.
Boots,
JB,
Boots O'Neill,
JB, Boots, Marcus Luttrell.
What's it worth for that off question or hearing how Marcus says something off camera that the audience gains something from that meeting, but not quite what Donnie gained from it?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
like I said, that's got to be involved in
that whole inspiration came from like back my time in Snook. Like I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt, but like I remember you told me one time like we were working our buns off in Snook, Texas. It was August. Yeah. It was a Saturday, and we were getting ready for a performance. And we had our we were joking, sun's out, guns out, because we were just sweating. I mean, it's Snook, Texas. You're chewing on the air in August. There was no breeze,
trees.
and we're at the back of this arena trying to sort steers and stock, and I'm getting paid. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting paid. So I was like, dude, why are you here, Garrison? Because like we're mad, like and I was like, why are you here? And he said, and it was nothing against Kermit at all.
Right. It wasn't a dig.
It wasn't not at all. Like but it was just for me in that moment. I was like, dude. And he said, man, when I leave here, they're gonna have to find somebody to do this job. Probably 2 people. He didn't say that. I said that. Probably 2 people. And but this knowledge I'm learning, I'm gonna take that with me the rest of my life. And I was like, and it just changed for me.
Yeah.
And he was right. Like, dude, this is an NFR. He won the NFR. This dude has way more knowledge about horses, roping, how to rodeo than I ever will.
Oh, fun fact: Tyler roped a leg to set the arena 10 steer record. So Kermit spun 10 steers. Tyler slipped one leg. Otherwise, they'd have had the overall 10 steer record that Buddy and them just broke last year.
Yeah, he not just kind of team roping.
Yeah, no,
like he's just and we had fun. We all had fun, and but it was just a hot day that it's just like somebody got to have some motivation to be out there on this day, and I knew he wasn't getting paid, but he was turning steers. Y'all roped every day.
Back of your mind, you're like, man, I'm out here working this hard for this much. Hang on, he ain't making any money.
That's exactly right. That's how I was like, what is your? And he told, and it was just a quick. I didn't expect any sort of answer, but and then he said that, and I was like, dang. And then here I go down the rodeo trail, and it made me appreciate it. But anyway, that's kind of where that mindset. But that's a winner's mindset. But
yeah, the first time hey, Dale said I need an intern, that this is a good idea. I need to get an intern. Yeah. Well, that was all for me. I wasn't thinking about, what I could do for the intern. So every time you think about yourself, it kind of backfires. So this time, it was almost like a request into our group, and it was somebody that is, that knows who we are, that is invested in another project, that is a construction management student, you know what I mean? Like he wants to do the deal. He wants to be a builder. So he's a whole different person when he shows up than the person I seeked out going, hey, you'd make an intern. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different deal. He wanted to be here.
They gotta want to. That's a good point. Gotta want to do it.
Yeah, one of my guys said in a video, like, you get out of this what you put into it.
Yeah.
Because like I'm personally not gonna you gotta be motivated. You got to ask the question. You got to ask me. You got to I'm going to make sure I provide you the opportunity to learn, but you got to want to learn. You can't, because I was at a rodeo school with Lyle Sankey, and I was teaching bullfighting actually. There was 5 bullfighters, and it was in New Caney. And got done with the bull riding, and there was it was actually a steer, but he was big and he was mean. It was 1,200-pound steer, big, tall thing. And I was like, hold the outgate. And so I made a half a round with him, round or two. And I was like, and all these kids were on the fence. And I was like, anybody want him? And we had done drills that morning. I was like, who wants one? And nobody said anything. I was like, all right, turn him out. And it was 11:30. So I was like, all right, well, we'll go to lunch. And we're walking in. And one of the dads of one of those students who had paid the $350 for him to be there was like, hey, this is bull. Hey, you need to coach these guys. You need to get them all. And I was like, at first I was kind of like, yeah. And then Lyle walked up and he was like, no, sir. We will lay this out for you. But if they can't get there off the fence themselves, then they don't need to be doing it.
That ain't on
I'm
you.
not going to go jerk you off this fence and put you in front of this steer. No. And then I was like, yeah, that's right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Lyle, tell them, Lyle. And that was a big moment for me because in Rodeo, I remember I entered Leroy once. He didn't want to go. We went to Glen Rose, and he drew one of these big frontier horses and landed on top of his head. And I said, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Somebody, you better be motivated.
Yep.
I'm not going to hold your hand.
I'm not taking that responsibility to motivate you.
Not with Rodeo.
Well, and some, like a personal belief that you have that we can all see is that you make sure you provide the most value of the room. Okay, so that's your goal. You're going to make sure that you provide as much value, if not more value, than whoever you're sitting beside.
That's the goal.
So if the intern gets to a certain level, and you're gonna make sure, hey, there's more value. I'm gonna make sure I provide more value in this situation. Well, then you can stop right there. But then if that intern picks up that value, then you have to pick up your value. Mm-hmm. So they can challenge you all 100%. Of the time.
Absolutely.
And you'll show up.
And I love that competition.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
But as soon as they get to a spot, as long as you're right above them, then you're focused on.
Yeah, and once you get into a back and forth with somebody like that, that's the one you want to keep.
Yeah, for sure.
And those are the ones that stay.
Yeah, that's the guy that's can and maybe will do big, better things.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel like they're getting taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't want someone who's going to try to do the bare minimum amount of work, and they don't want to work for someone who's going to try to do the bare minimum amount of like pay or knowledge transfer or whatever you call it. Once you get in a battle with somebody, that's healthy. Like, hey, so long as you're both trying to outdo the other one, that's healthy, I think. But
yeah, I get that. Like, I've got a little theory, like on starting a colt. I've got kind of my little, I can get in the weeds with it. But, sometimes somebody comes up and they're like, hey, can you teach me how to do that? And I'm like, okay. And I start talking, and then they start telling me what they know. I'm like, I thought you asked the question, and now you're telling me what. I'm like, I'm not wasting my time, spending minutes of my time trying to transfer knowledge to you that you're not interested in absorbing, just like you talk about. But if I get a guy over there and he asks me, hey, what about this? And I say, well, this is what I like to do. And he goes, well, I don't know. What about this little idea? And I'm like, that's a good point. Then it's kind of steel sharpens steel, and you kind of maybe bounce an idea off each other. Like you talk about, the competition deal is perfect. Yeah, but like I said, I'm not going to spend my time teaching you stuff, and then you not be interested in pushing me, or that you need to give me something back too.
Yeah. You've got 2 ears in one mouth. You've already heard your story.
Yeah, exactly. If you knew it, why did you ask?
Right.
Why are you
here? Just looking for an audience?
Yeah, you trying to convince me or yourself?
Yeah, Chris Cox. I had him on a podcast.
I love that guy. I love watching this stuff, man.
A couple weeks ago, and he said the same thing. He was like, somebody will ask. I'll start talking. They interrupt me to tell me
what they're doing right.
What they're doing. And then he said, I'll just stop talking and listen and stop. And then it'll kind of catch them off guard, Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, no, I mean, obviously you don't want to know what I have to say. Let's hear,
Yeah, which, on the side note, I love listening to that guy.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that guy is
cool dude.
I've never met him, but like his philosophy and what he can do. And he's so humble about it too, Yeah. That's what he's tops in my book.
I like Chris.
For other guys. It'd be cool to meet him one day.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Got a super interesting story.
Yeah.
He grew up, he was
was
born in the U.S. And then his dad borrowed a little bit of money from maybe his grandmother and bought an island outside of Australia for like $65,000. Like this big island. And ranched on it. And then big ranch. But then Chris left that ranch at 16 with nothing. Not a dollar, not a pickup, nothing. And went and, he wanted to ride bulls and did ride bulls, and then broke his arm in Australia like I think it was a practice bull right before a rodeo. They wanted to get on a few practice bulls, and then, but like bone came out and almost lost his arm. And anyhow, but then went to training some horses, and then came back to Florida, bought a place, trained horses, sold that, bought another place, trained horses, and then kind of was simultaneously doing real estate. Anyway, if you're listening to this, go back to my Chris Cox podcast. Super interesting story.
Yeah, I've been meaning to listen to that one.
Yeah,
that it seems.
But I think he was born in the
Really
U.S.
cool.
and then grew up in Australia and then came back to the U.S.
I didn't know that.
So
all I know is.
I always thought he was from Australia.
Yeah, me too. That was.
But I don't think
got
he
the
was,
accent and everything.
Yeah, but left home 16 wood, not a dime.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He got a few of them now. he can rub a couple of them together, I guess.
Yeah.
Good for him. That's a people, kids, which I don't know if I'm a success story or not. I used to care about it. I really did. I was like, am I making it? Am I not making it? And then it's like, I don't care if I am or I'm not. I got what I need.
Dude.
I'm doing what I like. I'm doing this, and I forget where I was going with that, but, so you get caught up in that sometimes, and kids will come up to me and they're like, and now I remember what I was saying, but they're like, well, man, what this? Can I do this? Can I do that? I said, man, really, honestly, there's two people that don't make it in the world. Dumb people and lazy people. Yeah. And that's the truth. I mean, you don't, granted, it's a harder road at times for dirt, depending on where you came from. But dumb, lazy people never make it.
And no matter where they start.
Never. It doesn't matter if they start in the middle, top, bottom. Dumb, lazy people do not make it.
Man.
Smart, hardworking people will be higher than where they started.
If
they started at the top, they're going to be higher.
Yeah.
They're not going to take.
And if you're willing to work hard, sooner or later, you're going to run into a lesson. If you're willing to learn, you're going to get smarter.
And I sound like such an old man sometimes because it's so cliche, but we're
getting there.
It is because it's true. It keeps getting said because it's always true.
Yeah.
It's never not true.
Well, you said, I don't know if I'm a success or not. I use you as an example in that conversation all the time. If I don't use it, I think about it. But we were in Paducah like 9 years ago, and Wendell Culp. Yeah, you were there.
Remember? That was longer than 9 years ago then.
Remember whenever we put that rodeo on?
Yeah, but that was longer than 9 years ago.
I don't know how long ago it was.
We were there. Mm-hmm.
And Wendell was picking up, and Wendell Culp, pickup man, one of my dad's best friends since they were like 13, 14, cowboy.
Sure, cowboy.
Yeah, like runs a ranch outside of La Mesa called Indian Canyon, like 100 sections, like big place. Like anyhow, he's sure enough cowboy. And tall, they called him Stretch, really good pickup man. Mm-hmm. My dad said like back when they were going and working for Charlie, like he should have been at the NFR picking up. But anyway, he said, what you been doing, Garrison? And you said, oh, just training colts, trotting in circles. And he said, not a dang thing wrong with it.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's what and it was that simple, but like coming from Wendell to Garrison, and that's what you've been doing since then. Yeah. And like I think about that conversation a lot, like because our society, our whoever, grandparents, parents, like. A lot of people measure success through the lens of money, period. And it's like, because if it just in casual conversation, hey, my name is Jeremy. Well, what do you do?
Yep.
Well, I'm a home builder. Oh, really? They say that because they assume you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so they if they were to ask, what do you do? Well, I train horses. Oh, okay. And then their mind goes to, I wonder how much that pays.
Yeah.
Well, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
The initial reaction to the most
one,
unsuccessful doctor in the world is different than the most successful horse trainer in the world.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
But what gets me is this, like,
that's a good point.
Money is a tool. And if you don't look through the lens of money for success, then it changes everything. It changes everything because you could have been a doctor. You're educated, you're smart, you're intelligent. Like you could have been a lot of things, but you wanted to work with horses. And which doesn't mean you got to be broke, but your average horse trainer doesn't make as much as your average doctor. And so the income average is going to be less. And anyhow, but I've thought about that conversation and I've said those words. Like I'll talk to somebody and if they say anything with horses, I'll said those words and I'll think it in my head. Not a dang thing wrong with it.
I mean, it's a hard job, but it can be a good job. And if you're good at it, you can make a living. Like I said, I just stumbled into this thing. I just didn't want to do. I kind of knew what I didn't want to do.
Yes.
And it kind of, life is going to put you where you're supposed to be.
Yep.
I believe that. And I ended up doing it, and it's like, well, I guess this is what I do, so I guess I better be good as I can be at it. And next thing you know, you're like, I mean, not to brag or anything, but it's like I pay for my place riding a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
For sure.
To me, that's
everything.
Yeah.
Man,
there's a lot of people can't say that with their job.
I try to ask myself why until I can't answer the question anymore. Like, I want to be successful. Why? Well, I want to make a bunch of money. Why? Well, I want to be able to not have to go into that job and work for a chip from, the last podcast. Yeah. And I want to be able to take my kids to school, and I want to be able to go to their practice. And okay, so if you can do that before you make that money and get that success, it's taking you all the way back around in that circle. Sometimes we're already there and we leave where we ultimately want to get to go find this arbitrary success and dollar amount just so we can finally get back there. And then we missed the whole time we could have been there.
Well, I think that's dead on, man. Because if I think I understand, like, I love the thing I love most about what I do is I do like a horse. I like to rope. I like to do all these things. I like cows. But the big deal is the freedom to do all the things I want to do.
Yep.
I got this job that lets me come up here and hang out today.
Exactly.
I didn't have to ask. I did have to ask my wife if we had anything Thursday morning. But I mean, I didn't. I want to come up here and hang out. I'll come up here and hang out. If I want to go hunting, I don't get paid when I go hunting, but I get to live it. Doing what I do, I like it, but it also allows me to enjoy the rest of my life.
Yep.
I can at 2:00 if I want to go fishing with my buddy Colton, we can.
Yeah. Freedom is the ultimate thing we're after.
And that's me. That to me. If you told me I could have my job and like in the spring, I love to go fishing. Oh, the guy that wants to take you hand fishing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, hey, man, the fish are biting. You want to go? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's worth, I don't know how many dollars in salary to me.
Exactly.
It may not be to somebody else. Somebody else may be like, if I stay, I get 4 hours of overtime. Good. If that's what makes you tick, go for it.
But if you're not willing to work hard and learn, you ain't never going to get there.
No.
You'll end up fishing at 2:00 and then realize you can't pay your electric bill.
Yeah, no, you gotta prioritize. Like some days he's like, hey man, let's go. I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah, I gotta work hard today.
Today
well, there's more days like that you do say, no, I'm gonna do that. But Craig Cameron, I spent a couple summers with him, and when I was a kid, I remember I was like 13. I remember like it was yesterday. He was standing in a round pen, and he said, it don't matter if you were put on this earth to be an astronaut, a horse trainer, bucking horse rider, build homes. If you were put on this earth to do that, and that's what you're doing, there will still be days where you wish you were doing something else.
Oh, 100%.
And so long as you know they're coming, and then you just got to get through them.
Yeah, yes.
And then I think you got to be careful once those days stack up on top of each other, and then you got more of those days than not in a year or in a month or in a year, then you might need to think about doing something different. But if you are doing,
the way I put it, going with what you're saying is everybody's good day is great, no matter what profession you're in. If you had a great day, it's a great day. But like my bad days aren't that bad. you know, whereas if you're I don't know, wouldn't know what to say. But
if you were in the wrong spot.
Like say you're an investment guy, you know, and, oh, man, we made a great deal today and made a lot of money. Well, that's a great day. Everybody's great day is good.
Yep.
But then, like, I bet his bad days are bad when, like, the stock market crashes and his phone's ringing, hey, what's the deal? When you know.
But his bad days, if he's in the right spot, may feel just like your bad days since you're in the right spot. You're in a healthy spot, you know, but your bad days, if they were his bad days, like, no, I don't want none of that because it's not the spot that you want to be in.
So it's hard to say, you know, who exactly like you're saying, you know, to me, like my bad day would be, I don't know, whatever it would be. But like you said, then a guy in the office is going, what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would rather go to prison than do that for one afternoon, you know?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Right. You're sitting in an office going, man, this is a bad day. He's like, no, this is one of the good days.
Man,
like, I got to get out of here.
We just made. I'm like, no, I'm out of this joint.
Yeah. It's all about perspective.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
But you gotta know yourself. But I get a lot of people that, so aside from the intern thing, I get a lot of people that come in and say, you know, how do I get started? So let's say, you know, they've heard the spiel about, all right, I need to find somebody and learn, you know, about cows or learn about horses or learn how to train them, whatever area they're going into. Let's say they've learned enough to know the trade that now they're ready to go start the trade. So from someone who makes his living on a horse, you pay your bills with horses and cows. What would be like some 10,000 foot advice that you would give, you know, like one of these interns, they're going to leave rodeo time and then go start out on their own.
To me, I'll sidetrack just a little bit and then get back to the point, because if you're really good at one thing in your life, that's good. You know, I see a lot of people try to do too much and you end up doing a halfway job at everything. If I was to tell somebody, be like, if you want to hang your shingle out and start 2-year-olds, first things first, you better be good at it. It makes no difference if you're the smartest business guy and you know how to get the best deal on feed, which all that comes in. You know, if you buy bulk, you get a discount. My hay comes from here. You got to know all that, but you better be good enough to do it. So be good at your trade. If you're going to build homes, you better build a good one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to have another job. And then the second thing, which I try to live by, the most important horse you'll ever ride for somebody is the first one. That's the one they're going to judge. And they're probably not going to send you the best one the first time.
Yeah.
No one ever sent me – everybody that I've rode a colt for in the 12 years I've been doing it, I've gotten better ones now than I did when I started. Not because they have better horses, because they was going to try me out first.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so you better be good at what you do if you're going to start colts. And then you better be prepared to really do some of your best work on not the best product.
Yeah.
They're not gonna if they're not gonna accept from a rookie, this horse ain't that good.
Right.
I can tell. There's a few people I ride for. I'm like, man, I don't know. This horse is kind of gonna be in this ability category, and they'll kind of be like, okay, well, we'll sell that one and move on. But the first ones, they were not interested, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They wanted to see the result.
Yeah.
I need this horse to do that.
Right.
And I which that in going along with that, the horses that take the most work are the sorriest ones. You know, I rode a horse for Blue Lavender a few years ago, like maybe as good a colt as I've ever rode ever. Like I think they sold him for like I don't know how much, a lot of money. But I called him 4 days afterwards because Blue's kind of mess with you a little bit. I'm like, hey, who been riding this horse? He's like, man, nobody. And I was like, well, he'll stop and spin around like on the fourth ride. Like I've never seen anything like it. You do that and he turned and you go, whoa. And I was like, I had to do no work on that horse. But then I've had some old owl heads that were like, just every day's a fight to make it do anything. You know, you can get there, but it's, so you better be prepared to work above and beyond to get the same result.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Right. Be willing to do a lot of work to make sure your brand survives as a lifetime.
The first one is the most important one. Because if you go out there and pride of ownership with a horse, they've either bred it or bought it or something, they're pretty sure it's a good one. You know, even though it's never been rode, like, oh, it's a good horse. Okay, let me get to work and make it a good horse. It better be, otherwise they're going to be mad, you know.
Which you also have to be prepared for, because that's going to happen too.
Yeah, one guy, a kid one time told me, he's like, yeah, I want to ride horses. I said, well, that's good. Go for it. He's pretty handy. And I called him a few months later. He goes, man, they ain't send me nothing but junk. I was like, well, you better get ready for that. Because, like, out of all, you know, I keep about 8 outside horses all the time. And every once in a while I get one I want to buy. But as a general rule, I'm not saying they're terrible horses. They're just not for me. And you better be prepared to ride stuff you don't like and do a good job like you do like them. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be like if someone wants you to build something and you're like, I don't like that color.
Right.
So I'm not gonna. No, that ain't what I hired you for.
Exactly.
You do a good job at what you're supposed to do a good job at.
And when we make mistakes, which we do, you know, and you said it real early on in the conversation. You know, I hope I'm better at it. You know, well, that's a really good point, because if I'm not a better home builder today than I was 5 years ago, what have I been doing? You know, you can either have 20 years of experience, or you can have 1 year of experience 20 times. I heard someone say one time, I thought that was a really good point, because if you're not getting better at it, what was the point in what you've been doing? But that means somewhere along the way, like every customer that I had yesterday didn't get as good a service as the ones I'm going to have tomorrow. They, you know, now I hope I still provided them with more value than they
Exactly.
What'd you say earlier? You said, man, you used to do this. You used to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was telling him how you better, like, I remember things y'all say.
Yeah.
Like both of y'all. Like, I remember things y'all said 5-6 years ago. He said, somebody thought it was like, well, you used to do this. Yeah, well, I also used to my pants too, but I stopped doing that, didn't I?
Right. And it's true. I mean, life it does.
I used to couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
And then I learned how.
But if you're showing up no matter what they give you to do it the best you can, then you really don't have any reason to, you know, overly apologize. Like, I'm human. I made a mistake. I'm striving to get better. But I still showed up to work for you as hard as I could and to provide as much value.
I've never sent, I say never. Never is a bad word. I can't remember being, not to say that I've always done the best, but I feel like I've strived to always do the best that I can at that time. And I've never been embarrassed about, not to say I'm the best, because there's people way handier than me, but I've never been embarrassed to hand somebody the reins because I always felt like, man, that's what you got all I had, you know. And I feel like if you can do that in life, you're going to be pretty happy, you know. I mean, not to say that Chris Cox couldn't take the horses I get and do better than me. That's fine. He probably has more game than me. But if I do my best, that's all I can ask of myself, you know.
Yeah.
And that, and kind of what you're talking about, I like a little level of discomfort.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to ever feel like, got this.
Better look around if you
know,
do.
I don't want to be confused and be like, I don't know what to do. But I want to be like, man, I don't know. That works for me.
Aligns with not being the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, it's like I want to feel as if there's something I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to be lost and need like.
I don't want to be the dumbest person in the room.
I need a new map here. This, I'm way off. But that, to me, I think that's a healthy thing. I like to go to other people's places and just ride and rope and do whatever, just to see if there's something they're doing that maybe I can pick up on, maybe vice versa. I don't know. But I like to feel as if, I don't know, I was always real competitive. you know, playing sports. So I don't know if that kind of plays in where it's like I want to feel like I'm not the best so I can work harder to maybe be the best. You know, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of a
I think that's one of the most important reasons why you should do something that you care about doing. Because like if I'm just coming to ride colts because I think it's an opportunity, then I'm focused on so much other stuff other than the thing. But really, when you climb on that horse, that's a different horse than any other horse you've been on, and there's a puzzle to him.
Oh yeah, that's the game.
And so that's the game. That's the whole point. Is that I think that's where a lot of that drive comes from, is staying in an environment where there's always a puzzle to solve.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and I don't know. I've never had a real desire to be like a full-on trainer.
Yeah.
Like cutter, reiner, team roper, calf roper trainer, whatever, barrel, because that just doesn't appeal to me. To me, the puzzle is the young ones. How do I get this to do that? And I don't know. Like you just said, it's a game. It keeps it new. Everyone, it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, and you're tasked with giving that young horse its best opportunity to go do any job it can be successful at. And I imagine you've probably told somebody, "Hey, I know you like to do this. This horse has got a lot that he could do over here."
Yeah, I don't. This is gonna be a struggle. I think this would be.
Yeah, it's your horse.
Yeah. And that is fun. Like you said, that's a good way to put it. It's the game.
Yeah.
In my business.
Yeah, if I can play the game I want to play, and have the freedom to live around the people I want to live around the way I want to live around them, I don't know what else I'm after.
Yeah, and I usually get just enough more than what we spent every month, and life's happy and life's good. You know?
But if you had tenfold more, if you won the lottery tomorrow, I have a feeling you'd be doing the same thing you're doing today.
Getting back to like what you would tell a young kid. But, just like you said, if you would do this, if you were a billionaire, then you're in the right spot.
Then it can't be too bad of a day.
You're in the right spot. If you sit there and if a young kid goes, man, if I ever get rich, I ain't messing with these horses, you're not going to be very good at it.
No.
That would be a pretty good little tidbit. If you would do it rich. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. But if you're doing it for money, what do you want the money for? So if you already had the money, what would you do? Yeah. You might be easier going down that path.
Yeah, I took the guys to the R.A. Brown Ranch to do like a little bit of field trip. It's real close to us, and so I wanted them to see another ranch and see the facility. And Donnell Brown, they've done it before, and they've got a system. So when a group comes in, they've showed them around before. So he goes around, asks everybody their names, and at the end of that, he'll attach what do you want to be doing in 5 years.
Wow.
And it was I hadn't been asked that in a long time, and it caught me off guard. And I guess I hadn't really spoken it out loud, but I said this exact same thing. And I said, if I could be doing this in 5 years, I am 100% happy. Like making videos, we're rodeoing, we're ranching. Like this is my dream life. And I don't need a boat. I don't need an island. I don't need a jet ski. Like I don't need, one day, what I'd like is a really nice big tile shower.
Man, you are hard to please.
I'm like one day I'm going to have a custom bathroom.
You know a guy.
I do. I didn't really think of that. And that's not where I was headed, but you're right. I know a guy.
Sound like a shameless poor me.
No. It ain't none of that.
Just have that.
No. And it ain't even
Tiny
that.
Tim over here.
To be honest, I'll be happy with 1 or 2 vacations a year where they got one.
There you go.
So, but that's like, that would be neat. Cause like my old man really liked, a nice shower, and like that was his time in the morning. He'd like pray, and like he would take a long shower, and I like when we go to Vegas, sometimes if I could score, I had this friend at the South Point, he would score me these coupons for like a day in the spa thing, like not to get my nails done, but like you go back there, they got that steam room.
Where are you going with this?
Your nails do look good.
You got that steam room and the sauna, like that's like a big shower, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, whatever. The point is, like, I want to keep living this life, what I'm doing. if I win the lottery, I'll probably make less videos, but I'm still making videos.
Man, so like even people in that position that and I'd be good if this was 5 years from now. It still is hard to say, right? It takes an enormous amount of confidence to say I'm where I'd like to be in 5 years because you don't feel like you're supposed to say that, you know?
Yeah. It
Like,
was.
like your goal is there to get there.
And that's why.
And to be willing to say it, it's like there's hesitation to even be willing to say it.
But that uncomfortability, I like that you said that, because like life is fragile. The whole world learned that in 2020. Like life is fragile. So for me to just be like kick back and be like, I'm okay to just chill because I am where I want to be, is not safe.
No,
I cannot do that. Like I've got to continue to grow. You're either going up or down.
Well, I use the example all the time with people. It's like treading water, like doggy paddling. You quit paddling, you don't stay there.
Yes, sir.
You sink.
100%. I believe that to my core.
Yeah.
And that's why like I work so hard to keep my head above water, for your analogy's sake. And anyhow, that's what.
And store as much fat as you can so you float if you get tired for a minute, but you ain't gonna float forever.
Yeah, I'm not trying to float. I'm not trying to. I don't mind the paddle. I enjoy paddling.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I really do. But I sometimes I paddle harder than I should have, and I need to go spend time with my family. But it's just because like I just want to make sure I'm still doing this in 5 years.
Yeah.
But
And one thing, like what people that know that I know you pretty good, they always, what's this? What's he like? What's he do? I was like, man, it's like that. It is. Yeah, there's cameras and stuff, but we talked for an hour this morning.
yeah,
And all we did was hit a button.
we didn't change much.
It was no different. And like this, we talked 10 minutes before they started this thing.
Yeah,
Just like this.
And that's what I think you're relevant, and are going to stay relevant because it's not. To me, what I like about it's not a show. It's just a life, and it's an interesting life because it's interesting to you, and that translate to people watching it. They're like, that guy's really having fun doing that.
Yes, sir.
And that's contagious. When you see people that are truly happy, truly having fun with what they're doing, it's hard to not be like,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to watch that.
Man,
Yeah,
what you just said. So the manager of the grounds is back there while y'all are doing that. And he comes in my office. He goes, "Man, that was cool back there." And I was like, "It's kind of cool to see it behind the scenes, huh?" And he goes, "No, the cool part about it is they didn't change anything.
No, we just talk.
Like
Yeah,
he
sure.
did not change. There's not a character. There's not a thing that he puts on nothing changed. They just recorded what they were doing out there." He was like, "Man, that was cool." You
Yeah,
know?
and
and I
It's funny to
guarantee,
say that.
I guarantee you that's why you've had this success.
Yeah.
And you've made good decisions. You've springboarded that into a lot of cool stuff. But the reason it stays up front is it's fun to watch.
Yes, sir.
I've known you forever, and I still watch your little deals, and it's like, I chuckle. It's like, man, that's funny.
And it's
Man.
sustainable because you're not
Because
putting
it's
on
not a
something.
character.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a script, eventually you get to the last page.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you,
Yeah,
it's
that's a
just life. And
and the entire group you've built, like everyone was coming up with, what that was.
We just feed into this, and then you like these conversations. They go here and
That's a good point.
they just.
And
It's just life.
I've not
It's
thought of it like this, but now that you say it like that, it makes me think, because people will ask me a lot. They'll come in real close, like, "Man,
What do you really like to do?"
Well, no, kind of, but they'll be like, you get tired of this?" And I don't know what to say because I don't.
No,
And but that's why.
Yeah,
like
that's-
we just turned on the camera, like we were
100%.
having.
that was no stage.
And so
Nothing.
we filmed a few, what will be 2 or 3 videos this morning, and like we just filmed what
Life.
you and I enjoy doing and what we would have been doing without the camera.
Yeah.
And so like really and then you get people around you like Carson, Cole, Donnie, you could build a culture.
Yeah.
You film all of us experiencing life. Well, like we're just being ourselves. Well, now just put us in different situations and we have to edit it in such a way, and we've got to turn on the camera
you have
at
to
the right
produce
time,
it.
and it's got to be valuable for people. You know, catching the rattlesnake, and you know, like those little moments that are going to be interesting that will grab people and actually entertain them. But like that's what encourages me about. Well, I want to do it in 5 years. Well, I guess so long as I want to continue to be myself and people still find it interesting, then
Garrison had the freedom to come rope today. You had the freedom to come rope today. You turned on a camera so that it would fund that freedom.
Yes. And eventually I do have to move a T-shirt or two to pay the 3 guys that are with me this week on payroll.
Yep.
You know,
we do all need to make money.
Right, like that. Yeah,
but you know, two things I heard one time. They said nobody's got a good enough memory to be a good liar. I feel that's pretty true. You know, and you can't fake being really happy.
Yeah,
you can't. It'll show. I don't, and that's. I mean, just saying what we're saying, like. I made the comment today, like usually I put a lot of effort into when I wrote, and I really try to be good, and I don't like to mess up. I try to be as perfect as I can. I told somebody, I've never had that much fun roping that bad.
Dude.
And that's anybody that knows me, for me to say I had fun and didn't rope good is like.
Yeah. Well, I know you.
And I was like.
Because he doesn't heel, he's a header. Well, he's teaching me, and like learning to head, I feel like is a lot easier than learning to heel. So it's like, for the sake of the video, let's learn to head, and Dale learn to head. And so like he's teaching me from the heel side how to head. Well, at the end he's like, all right, well, we got to switch for a few, which look, you know, 1,000%. Okay. You know, and he missed that first one. And I was like, oh, no. Because I remember I was like, he's passionate about this. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like if we were to buck off something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't bother you, you're not going to be very good at it.
No.
And but then you calm down and you smoked that next one, like almost pulled his horns off and went to the horn. I was like, okay, now we're back. But like,
but just going back to you couldn't stage that.
no,
You couldn't. There's not good enough actors in the world. And I don't know if the video is going to be good or not, but I had so much fun, and I didn't even. There's times we were just talking, and I look and I was like, "Oh yeah, Donnie's filming this."
Yeah,
you know. I mean, and I know that people may not believe that or not. I don't care, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
We were just talking, and
the diehard fans that watch enough. I say not even diehard. If you watch enough videos, you get it.
Yeah.
You get the joke, and you can see through the joke, and then you see the part where it's just like, yeah, this is there.
it's just
You know.
it's real people.
I mean, we made the first video 9 years ago.
If anybody,
You can only fake so much for
that's
for
what I'm
9
saying.
years.
If everything's scripted, I don't care how big the book is.
No.
You'll get to the last page. And there is
That's a good point.
there is no script. Therefore, there is no last page. There is no end. What I want to know, here's my only question is, like, what are you going to do when you really are the 67-year-old age? Because those are my favorite. By the way.
Dude, I just did one. I'm going to start releasing them today. 67-year-old rancher
man.
went to the rodeo.
But how come as a
Like,
67-year-old
I'm in
rancher
Henrietta,
still 67?
Texas. This sumbug is packed.
That's awesome.
I'm in the dang arena running neck ropes.
That's hilarious.
I am like,
Work gloves on?
oh, yeah. Suspenders, same hat.
Oh, nice.
Dude, I'm about to start releasing these
But why
videos.
is just if anybody's really paying attention, the
He ought to be
67
like
years,
73 by now.
He's not getting any older.
Yeah, he's kind of got the fountain of youth.
Yeah, well,
You know
he's
what I
living that best life.
One
Yeah.
day you'll get to pretend to be
But-
young.
Or they were all filmed in 1 year and they're all getting released, and
You know, one thing I try to do or keep in perspective, and I'm sure you and we both we can all three agree on this. Like, no matter what happens, I just don't want to be forced out. Meaning, I'm not good enough to do this anymore.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or you know,
So-
that's my goal, to be like in you, for you, I think I think you could be 80 and be like,
Yeah,
doing
sure.
this,
Yeah.
you know?
And
well, why not?
right. Yes, sir. That's kind of what I think, you know?
Why not? I mean,
there's a version of it like, why not, 56 and like still making videos?
Why
and
not?
Maybe they look a little different, maybe there's like some sort of, but
until cowboy stuff quits being funny, you got a job, in my opinion.
Well, I very much appreciate the confidence.
And you didn't paint yourself. One thing I always think is the cool, when people ask me about him, I was like, I really don't know what you are, and I know you. Like you don't paint yourself into a corner in any aspect of your life that I've ever been around. You can pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot, and then you came back and you're like, I already did that, but I'll pivot off of it again, and that's why you're here, man.
See, that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast. Like you two, like you're saying some stuff that's not foreign, but I've just not heard it put in that way. That makes me like, yeah, that's right, man. There's like logic to it, but
curious.
Yeah.
What?
A curious mind.
Yeah.
Like
the way both of y'all think like that. Both y'all. Yeah. I mean, Garrison used to help me a lot with women too.
You were in a bind. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, and then you added that disclaimer at the end. I remember I was like, man, the one thing is, I think, is like that you should not take women advice from me. So like it was like this disclaimer that if it didn't work out, you could say, I told you.
There was a possibility this wasn't going to work.
Yeah, there's a possibility. Oh, shoot. No, we usually wrap these up with life advice. So, which I feel like that's what this whole podcast has been.
Sounded kind of did do
the
that.
theme of the whole thing.
Man, I don't know if I get to count it as my life advice or whether it's even life advice, but you were describing someone that you had a lot of respect for. We can tell you had a lot of respect for. And then Garrison said, cowboy. And you said, yeah, like we know exactly what he meant because he said cow. Like one word, cowboy.
Yeah, Wendell. Yeah.
And like if you aren't in the, I don't know, industry, but lifestyle or the culture, like a part of the culture, maybe that word doesn't mean as much. But it's like the way you said it and the way you used that term wasn't that he rode good or roped good or did any of the cowboy thing. He was just a cowboy, honest, hardworking, somebody you could trust. It was a
matter of fact
term of respect.
Yeah.
That's what it was a term of respect. So whatever industry you're a part of, like when someone talks about you, if the other person's, cowboy, like that whatever industry you're in or however that term would be, if we could strive towards
contractor.
That.
Home builder. Yeah.
I don't know if it has the same,
or like military, like killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the most respectful sense. Like
if we're out of the environment, we're like, man, what's a killer? I don't know, but that's not what you meant when you said it,
Yeah. No, being that would be cool. Yeah. Trying to be that. What you got?
I don't know. I was enjoying listening to that. That was a good point. One thing I think is real valuable to me and things I try to do is kind of like I talked about earlier. Like I can nerd out on people that are good at something. Like, I mean, like I can get like that guy. I know this guy. Tommy Avis, like he's like longbow aficionado, like he's like the best at it, and I'm just like I'm in awe of that. And I think if people look for that, you can learn a lot of stuff that you thought you maybe never would. Like for example, we got Buddy Colton. Like he takes me fishing, he catches like 25 to my 1. He's the best at it that I know, and I'm just in awe of watching people be good at stuff. And very seldom do I have jealousy about it when I truly look at it. And I guess it'd be the same with like great musicians. Like I don't know anything about playing a guitar, but like I can watch somebody that's really good at it and
Appreciate
it. And I feel like to live and I don't always do the best, you know, none of us do, but like I have my best days, and I feel like I'm my best me when I'm appreciating what somebody else is doing well.
Man, that's such a good point.
And I kind of segue over to another thing I try to do is, you know, as you're watching that, and I heard a guy say, man, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who somebody else is today. And I thought, man, that's good. I need to remember that because I'm real bad to be like, oh, that guy's roping better than me. And I'm like, yeah, but I rope better today than I did yesterday. You know, and then when I do that, I feel like I'm my better me.
You bet.
You know?
Man.
And so if my advice to people would be like, learn to enjoy. And it's hard because, man, jealousy is a son of a gun.
Yeah.
I ain't nobody that ain't never been jealous is lying.
Yeah.
At something about you. Somebody's been jealous of somebody, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It's not a good life. I've done it. I've tried it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But when I can truly appreciate, whoever, whatever, if it's like Donnie looks like he's the best camera dude you've ever had. Cool. I can appreciate that. And that you can get joy out of watching somebody be good at something.
Yeah.
That is a good way to live. I have my best days when I do that.
Man, I'm going to write that down.
There's another thing I got to write down is what he said is like there are two people that won't make it.
Yeah.
Dumb people and
Lazy people. And if you're both,
you're screwed. So you're saying like if you're dumb, you won't make it.
Well, you can be.
You can be dumb.
Now, I'm not calling people dumb, but if you're like, man, I just physically, my mental capacity won't let me run a business. I can't organize a business. But Jeremy hires me, and he hires me to do this. That's all I mentally can take care of. But I do it perfect every day. You'll have that. That guy will have money.
Yeah.
He'll have a job.
If you're willing to work hard at that, then it'll.
You know, and some lazy people can maybe come up with a good idea and sell it. You know, maybe.
If they're smart.
Yeah. You know, he's like, I don't like to work, but I come up with some good. I invented these apps on my phone and I sold them. But like, if you're dumb and lazy, nobody hires that guy. Nobody hires.
And I bet it's hard to find a top level anybody that's not hardworking and works on learning continuously learning.
Yeah, you don't have to be smart. You just got to get smarter.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm just going to echo that because I'm going to try to hang on to it. But then I would just say don't look at success through the lens of money.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got to be wise with what money you do get. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, you know, like blessed are the poor is what the Bible says. But like, I mean, Jesus chose a life of poverty, you know, and he was neither dumb nor lazy.
Yeah.
But there's something to that, you know. But yeah, just like Wendell said to you, trotting in circles, there ain't a dang thing wrong with it. You can't be lazy and you can't be dumb, but there's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. So, there is a level of disrespect. Like if you're just lazy and dumb about it and you're poor, like all right, you got to change something. Mm-hmm. But so like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Garrison Gable, who is not lazy, who is not like you're smart and you're hardworking. And you've got these capabilities to do anything. You want to do this thing. Mm-hmm. Does it? That's the kind of like get yourself in a position where you're working hard and you're making wise decisions, but then do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I mean to each its own. Some people love to just go to that job.
Yeah,
that's madness to me. To drive your truck down the same road that takes the exact same number of minutes.
Well, you can
to get to that. You know that's
people. You can turn it off.
Yeah.
Some people like they can. I mean, like 5 o'clock, they turn it off, and they don't have to focus on the problems of an entrepreneur.
Well, that's right. I mean,
you know what I mean? There's a lot of entrepreneurs that commit suicide.
Yeah.
And because that's the other thing. It's like,
yeah, I didn't
if
think
there's ever been
in a rodeo,
if there's ever been one rich person that committed suicide, one, all it takes is one, which there's been way more than one. But if there's ever been one rich person ever commit suicide, that means money doesn't solve all problems.
No.
Right.
And there's been a lot of entrepreneurs that have the money that committed suicide because of after 5 o'clock. And if you work for that guy, you ain't got to worry about it after 5 o'clock. That's on him.
Well, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't hold it against anybody like if they're standing on their own 2 feet. Like I don't know that you have to make other people's life better. You just can't drag other people down. But if it takes someone else's work and you could do something about it and you choose not to because someone else is willing to do it for you, then I think there's a fundamental issue there.
Yeah.
You know.
One thing I remember, it was on your Boots O'Neill podcast. I watched it and it was interesting just to hear some old stories. But one thing he said, it was kind of just a small little point, but he said something about, he tied it into one of his guys got divorced or something, and he said, yeah, she didn't make me happy. And he said, well, hell, it ain't her job to make you happy.
Right.
You know, it ain't. I mean, it's kind of like what kind of goes back, like I said, man, be happy to see other people being happy. You know, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but you can't, like you said, other people aren't responsible for me being happy. Yeah, I'm gonna be grouchy because I'm grouchy. It's no,
yeah,
you know. And I tell my kids all the time too, and I'm like the worst at taking my own advice sometimes. But like they'll do something, and then they get in trouble or whatever, and then they get mad. I'm like, look, life is about things that are gonna happen to you. How you deal with it is what really life is about. Yeah. And I'm like, I say that to them, and I'm like, man, I remember that. Because it is. Things happen. Like, I missed that steer. I got two choices. I can get mad or I can laugh.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. You know, I can let it bother me or I cannot.
Well,
sometimes it does. Sometimes I actually win and it doesn't bother me. But
the world uses that word happy a lot. But I try not to because happiness is circumstantial. And which I'm not trying to break apart what you're saying. I think you're probably saying the same thing I'm about to say, but I'm just changing the word. Like, being happy that can change. Like, dude, if your dog dies, if your grandmother dies, like, you're not going to be happy, but you can deep down have peace. Yeah. So like, there's going to be days as a horse trainer where like, you're not happy. You're building homes. You're not happy, but you can be at peace knowing you are on the right path. And then that happiness may come back on a good day or in a good moment or later on that day, and you can work on your happiness. But that peace can be a foundation that is immovable, which I think that ultimate peace, like I think everybody's got a God-sized hole in their heart. And once they put God in that foundation, in that hole, it can help you. It will help you establish that peace that the rest of the house can be built on, where occasionally you go in this room that is happy. I just think it's a room. I don't think it's the foundation, because I think no matter what you're doing, you're not going. There's going to be times you're not happy.
There's ups and downs.
Man, my grandmother, she lost all 3 sons. Yeah, and her husband. That's I don't want to. I'm not going to go preach to her about happiness. Right. We can talk about some peace that she might can find. That's tough. But I'm not going to talk to her about happiness.
Man, the success that I've found since I first heard you say that has been immeasurable, and my peace is probably the thing that I protect the most. Yeah. Or strive to protect the most. You know what I mean? Like, everything is like, man, how do I get back to a peaceful spot?
Yes, sir.
It's tough sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's always a challenge.
Nobody say it's easy. But it is. When you do that, I feel like you'll be in your best you. Yeah, I know I am, and I don't hit my mark every day. You know, but
you get whatever's keeping you from being from having peace out of the way, and you can absolutely do those other things better.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I heard a deal too. I'm like lots of quotes, but I heard one that I try to remember too is when your gratitude exceeds your expectations, you usually have a pretty good day. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
I know the more thankful I am, the more I say thanks instead of ask, things go better.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact whys, but just like, for example, man, here lately we roped good, had some good luck, placed around a little bit, and it's like I was like you said, if I won or not, it didn't matter. I was doing what I was liking and enjoying it. Damn if it ain't easy. When you're fighting it and just, Lee, I got to do this and I got to do that and this and that. If I wrote bad or this, that determines my day. That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Most of the
I don't
time,
like living that way.
Most of the time, it seems like it's easier to get into that spot where it feels good if you have the right people around you. Like a lot of times for me, it's who I have, and it's not their fault. Whatever the group is, it could be a good group, but if it really depends on the people that I have around me of whether I can get in that. Man, this is easy today.
Well, and I think exactly, and I think like today is a good example of why which we just circle back to. Like, you've got to suck to not have fun today. Like if you just walked up and you were like, these guys, wow, they ain't funny. Yeah, you suck, man. You're not happy with your life. And not to say that we were doing anything that great, but you can see, like you say, people around you, like everybody there had a good vibe. Nobody was keeping score. Nobody. We were just there. Right. And that, like you said, that kind of deal makes it super easy to be like, man, I feel good. I am comfortable in my skin. And there, like you said, you can get around people that are a bunch of one-uppers and
and it's hard to do good in that environment.
And man, like you get around like people that want to be jealous. Damn, it's easy to be jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's so easy to do it, to fall into that. And like you said, that's probably number one would be, another advice is like get around good people.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's one,
start there.
One good one's better than 6 bad ones, guaranteed.
Intern for a good person for free instead of making a bunch of money for somebody. Sorry.
No doubt.
Well, thank you for everybody for listening to Rodeo Time, the podcast. Garrison Gable, Jeremy Melanson. We're here in Huntsville, Texas at the grounds. Check it out. Check out DaleBrisby.com. And we are on to the next one, old son.
Pow, pow.